One of the most important things that you can do and a skill that you can work on in order to be a better designer is that of communication and inspiring others with your idea. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. Hey everyone, I hope you're well playing on making the games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, Principal Mission Designer Max Pears. Absolute pleasure to be talking to you, whether it be evening, noon, or night. I hope that you're okay and you're spending the time that you want with the ones that you love. So from my side team, we're going to be talking about that of communication and also that focusing on, say, pitching ideas, communicating, and really working with the team to work on that of ideas, right? We've spoken about communication a few times, and it's obviously mentioned not even just by myself, but by others online too, about the idea of what makes good communication skills.
But first, let's have a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is none other than me. What I've done, everyone, and I hope you're excited for this, is I've actually created a level design kind of store. What I've done in this store is put up different kinds of tips and tricks that you can find there, whether that be my actual ebook itself to that of level design pamphlets focused on different things such as traversal, stealth, breaking into the industry, as well as different talks that I have done which you cannot find anywhere else other than on this store. So if you are looking to improve on your level design skills and processes, then check out the Level Design Store, which will be down in the description below, where there'll be a link to find this. All you need to do is head over to gumroad.com/level design lobby. I hope you like what you see, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you, and now back to the show.
Now, when you're working either, whether it be any type of design, combat, level, game, whatever it may be, you work with a team of incredible devs who are all trying to, again, make great games. Now, the element from this here is trying to make sure that you pitch that of your design correctly and make sure that you are able to communicate it efficiently in order to sell this idea and inspire the others around you. I think one of the biggest things that people aren't aware of, or should they feel that they should be, is when they pitch their idea that it is perfect in all its forms. And I think one of the first things that we'll tackle when talking about this is being open to discuss this, right? Sometimes it is that you've come up with a really good idea, a really good design, mechanic, level, whatever aspect that you're pitching, but sometimes it's probably not fully there yet. And so that's why you bring the team with you. That's why you allow yourself to go off, communicate, hold a meeting for this, whether that be actually a virtual meeting or a meeting in person, to actually go through and discuss all these different elements you wish to improve for it, right? So from this here, we're able to actually go off and think about, well, what is it we can do with the team? And I really want you to be open to actually hearing what the team has to say. Recently, we talked about an element of a mission that I'm currently working on. Obviously, I can't say anything on it, but I got in narrative designer and a mission writer and was pitching that I just noticed this connection with a character that we're trying to build just wasn't there. And now I pitched a couple of ideas. We went back and forth. And what was great from this element is our writer had noticed, well, actually the tone wouldn't work here for what we're after. And that was really important to hear that, because then it allowed me to adjust my idea from it. And that instantly made the conclusion of what we're after better for it, because it wasn't just me going, hey guys, here's my great idea, end of meeting. It was me pointing out the problem, the solution, and then feedback. By doing that 3-act structure, again, problem, solution, feedback, you're instantly able to see what the team is thinking on the idea, but also encouraging them to be involved as well. And that's a really big thing that I think you need to come at this when you're talking about your ideas and communicating, is involving the team. If you can inspire them by pointing out, hey, here's a problem, and we as a team can actually fix it, that only gets more people inspired to go off and make and work on even more different elements for this. So I think it's really important to be able to do this, right? And I think for these elements as well, I really would strongly recommend that you listen to the feedback for it. Because once they give it, you might be like, oh, okay, there could be a couple things. First one from this is they actually might have misunderstood what you're trying to do. That happens more than I would like to believe. But if that does happen, try reiterate, try coming at it from a different angle. Another thing that we can do to make these elements much better is by using references. We've talked about references a few times as well, but whether that is a GIF, some sort of a clip, I think video or visual references just help sell it much easier. It could be a game, it could be whatever of, but I think the more that you focus on pitching that with some resource as well, it helps gives much more clarity on what it is you're chasing after. I mean, I'll show you once Hellblade 2 releases, there's some elements that you can see that I went for, and I'll be showing that work, which I'm looking forward to finally being able to do. Yeah, so I think right there, what we talked about, think of the problem, solution, feedback. From that point there, we can then start to move further forward and really start to iterate on the idea, helping to mold it too. And I think that is also the most important thing from that is, like I said, we're open for feedback, but then molding it as well. And I think that's why when I talk about that structure of pointing out the problem you're trying to solve, it gets everyone on board. The amount of meetings that I have been on and people are trying to solve different things, or the meeting diverges to a different topic, you have to have a real strong will to keep making sure everyone gets back on track. And it's really not easy to do that. So I think that's the first one for it. The other one from it as well, as we talked about feedback there, I think it's inspiring the team as well. And trust me, with games getting longer, even a short development of 2 years is a huge amount of time when you think about of your lifespan. 2 years working on a project, right? And during that, there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows in terms of emotion and what it is that you're kind of really after for it. And I think at that point as well, you need to make sure that you're inspiring the team for this. Whether that's telling people how much you like their work, whether that's saying, oh, you did this really well, can you show others? I think that's an important way to tackle it. One of the things that I like to try doing, and one of the things, again, we've discussed about this, now, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to come from a point of power, but if you do elements like this, make sure you communicate with your lead first, just to make sure that they're on board with it as well. Don't go rogue on it. But is delegating different types of work, right? And if you think about that, think about it as in like this, right? If we have a designer who's really good at setting up combat and the rest just doesn't feel right, really delegate them to setting up, whether that be a presentation, a Miro board, PowerPoint, whatever it is, but giving them a chance to express, this is what makes good combat. This here is what makes a good narrative event, right? By having this, you can now inspire a teammate to go off and be like, okay, I'm in charge of this. I need to make this better. And I think that is huge for everyone involved because they definitely feel far more in control of the different elements going on, but also allows them to take ownership and inspire them to present in their own way. And I think that's important. By having elements like this, you can really make sure that there is always one, a point of communication, and then two, making sure that they feel that they're in charge of this. By giving them that, they'll want to make sure that they're able to give more of themselves towards that of presenting, of ownership. I think that's a really good way to come across with it. When you give someone ownership as well, they tend to feel more empowered from that. So I think that's another great way to help with those different elements too for it. I'm trying to think of another way to help inspire and bring that. I think the one thing you can also do is making sure that when you bring people to communicate, it's not just your teammates, right? Like if you're in design, if you're in art, animation, sometimes it's important to bring your own discipline in, but other times it's great to bring in other disciplines as well so they feel heard, they feel that they're having an impact as well. I think as soon as you open that communication link, people will return the favor 9 times out of 10 from what I've seen.
At Lover Design Lobby, we believe everybody has a story to tell. Hobbyist or student, freelancer or veteran, we made it our mission to unite those who share our passion for creating and developing great games. Thanks to our generous Patreon backers, we've been able to do just that. So if you've already pledged your support, thank you. If not, you too can ensure the future of Level Design Lobby, helping us to create even more exciting content, collaborations, interviews, and much more. With awesome perks and rewards, whether you're a seasoned professional or just getting started, you're sure to find something for you. Want to share tips, tricks, and advice with passionate, like-minded developers? Our awesome community Discord has you covered. Fancy practicing your level design, creating strong portfolio content, and having fun? Then try our level design weekends. Or perhaps you want to individually discuss your work, hone your skills, or level up your career? Then consider our one-on-one mentorships. If you share our vision, then go to patreon.com/Level Design Lobby for more information and to pledge your support. Thank you.
So don't be afraid to go off, speak to other team members, bring them in for the meeting. Instead, like I brought in narrative and writer for that. It wasn't just me going, I've got it figured out. It ended up being better because of the fact that I had people who had a different perspective. And I think that's another important thing, because we've talked about it before. Too many times do we see that of people feeling that they're solely in control of this, and that's not true, right? At the end of the day, yes, people shape different things, different elements, but we're not building for just one person's portfolio. We're building for that of the overall game, the overall arching experience for the player. So we need to make sure we're always aligned. And I think that's another key element, is when working on a mission is, from my example, it's a mission. It could be a mechanic, it could be something else. We're really making sure that you understand what people think. How do they view what's going on, right? When you say to them, well, what do you think the theme of the mission is, or the overall, how you think it should look? Because we talk about this all the time with, if we say, think of a big red robot, you're going to think of something very different to me, and that's great. But it's about bringing it all together and aligning that to a certain vision. So making sure that you're in control of alignment as well, pitching to everyone, making sure everyone's got a clear vision of that. That's whether that comes in documentation first, prototyping, whatever it is, make sure that you put it on board. The second thing I'd really work on is your language, right? We are an international industry, and as you know, I've moved abroad, worked with companies all around the world, and sadly for me, I don't speak any other language than English, which is a real shame and something that I do need to change and should have by now. But the element from that there is that if that case is, most of the time you will work with English speakers, but some people, that'll be their second or third language. And I think you've just got to be very clear with what you're picking, and also understanding how different people work. I remember I did an interview to work with they were over in Cyprus, but it was a Russian company. And one of the HR members said, and I really appreciate them asking, have you worked with Russians before? Because the fact that in terms of English, we are very compliment sandwich in how we do it. Eastern European and much more blunt. Same with people from Holland as well. So understand the different cultures well. Like in Asia, a lot of the time I found that when working with people from Asia, that there is a very much a respect thing where they won't get involved or speak unless being told to speak, because they're trying to respect the hierarchy and order. And that's a challenge, because sometimes you want people to be able to just communicate, just speak openly as much as they can, so we can all work together and get a united vision and hear their different perspectives. So it's one that you've got to take into consideration, right? And I remember the first time I started working with people from different countries, I didn't quite get why they spoke in certain ways, gave feedback in another, but eventually you learn. So just understand, ask them about their culture as well. Ask them, how do you guys best communicate? I think one of the best conversations I had was with a concept artist who is from the Netherlands, and he'd really taken the time to mention that he struggled to work with English people because he'd rather they just be direct with what they wanted to change. And from that point on, that was something that just made me go, yep, time to be more direct, time to just be honest for it. And it sometimes has bit me in the arse, because there's some times where it's been misunderstood by different cultures as well. So again, it's understanding that and choosing your words wisely for it. How I work now, being back home in England, is slightly different, because I know it's a different way to communicate. I imagine it'd be the same if I worked out in America as well, or it'd be a different one. I mean, heck, working with different American companies has allowed me to see again how different they are from British culture too. And I think that's another aspect that we all need to be aware of for it. So I hope this has been a helpful one for you. I know it's a little bit different and much more on the soft skills, but I think pitching ideas, pitching skills and getting people on board is just as much of a challenge and just as much a responsibility as that as a designer as it is for you creating your work as well. So thank you very much. If you do want to get in contact, you can through that of Twitter, which is @MaxPairs. You can email me, leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. You can support the channel by heading to patreon.com/leveldesignlobby. Thank you all. Take care. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you all next time.